Good evening, everyone. Good night. Good day. Welcome to Black Man Speak. I'm your co-host, VJR Stewart.
And I'm your co-host, TD3. It is Wednesday night, May the 27th, 2026. And if it's Wednesday night,
It's certainly Black Man Speak. So let's give a shout out to Count Basie for our theme music. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, hit that notification bell so when new shows are uploaded, which is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. after the live show ends. Um, and if you're here watching the show live, invite a friend, a family member, a neighbor, a coworker, or a frenemy. It doesn't matter, but invite someone along so you guys have something interesting to talk about for the rest of the week. With that being said, Tom, since we got that out of the way, of course, a shout out to For Us Films in our own studio for subsidizing the show and supporting the show. With that being said, Tom, let's do what we do best, which is bring interesting news about what's going on in the world to social media.
all right, folks, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have a interesting show today. We have a couple of follow-up stories in addition to a couple of news stories. For those of you who are watching us pretty regularly, you know we talked about a guy who was uninvited, or when I was back in high school, we would probably say punked from actually going to his stepdaughter's graduation, which actually he supported and paid for. Well, we've got to follow up on that. That Jimmy has come up with. We can talk about that
Tom,
a little bit more.
so you can mark this down on your calendar. I was actually wrong about this.
Wait a minute.
So, Tom, it only happens about once a year now, maybe twice at the
All
most.
right, well,
Uh,
let's hear
so,
about that. So we've got that story. We've got another follow-up. Floyd Mayweather is having more, like they say, more money, more problems. Well, he's got more money, more problems. Um, we've got a couple of interesting things, probably no surprise to any of you guys, but a racial profiling story we're going to discuss very briefly. And a couple of more items in sports, of course. We've got the playoffs still going, so we've got to talk about where we are with that and what we see. So before we get to our stories of the day, we are going to have to have a moment of silence for some
okay.
condolences this week. We have some folks, well, I guess a couple of them in the entertainment business, and one old school, one of our civil rights behind the scenes strategists we've lost this past week. So let's take a moment to honor those who have now become ancestors, and we can talk briefly about them. So I know that you're probably familiar with at least a few of these brothers, Jimmy, who we have lost this past week.
I didn't know the saxophone player, but I did hear about the civil rights attorney, so I was familiar with him. I didn't know he had passed away. So
Right. He was
to his
actually
family.
he was an advisor, a behind the scenes guy, and was an advisor to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Also, he is responsible as a contributor to the I Have a Dream speech as well. So, someone who's been around for a long time, we have pretty much lost all of the icons and heroes of the civil rights era who fought, bled, and died so that we could have the freedom to go to any school that we want, live where we want, those type of things, Jimmy. And we are on the last of those great heroes and sheroes of that era.
Well, Tom, that just means the challenge for the Gen Zs and the Gen Ys and Zs and the new Gen Alphas to accept the challenge to us to walk in those shoes, Tom. So they have to be replaced, and so we just can't continue to go through life being mediocre. At some point, you have to have a desire to be great. And to be great means you have to be willing to put the work in, make the sacrifices, to be disciplined. You just can't go out there and just carefree piss off your life, and then somebody expects someone else to pick up the challenge and run with it.
I would say that I would agree with you on that. And one of the things that is lost on a lot of folks are the personal sacrifices that a lot of the heroes and sheroes made. Personal sacrifices probably could have gone out and made a lot of money in other places, but decided to sacrifice money. In a lot of cases, sacrifice time with their family. Jimmy, obviously, when we talk about Mega, we talk about Malcolm, we talk about Martin, we talk about many folks who are not as well known, literally sacrificed their lives to fought for us and knew some of them. They would not probably see some of the advances that they were fighting for, but were willing to make the commitment, were not afraid to die. And one of the things that we have talked about is that one of the advantages I believe that they had is that even though it was legally sanctioned by this country, they grew up in legal segregation where we actually had black communities, black teachers, black businessmen and women, and folks who poured into them as young people so they would be fighting for the future.
Well, of course, Tom, that generation made this ultimate sacrifice, and so a lot of and we are the recipients of that, being the beneficiaries of that effort today. And it's amazing to me that we don't look back and realize the tremendous sacrifice those men and women and sometimes children made so we can enjoy the freedoms and liberties that we have today. So this is another reason that when I look at the totality of American history, I see the progress that we've made. Not to say that we don't have some work to do. We do, but we've made a huge step forward in getting past a lot of our racial issues. So America as a whole has to be a little pat on the back, Tom, for this where we come from and where we ended up, and the work that we have to continue to do. But it just seems like a lot of people don't appreciate that effort and those sacrifices. A lot of times because we don't teach our children about our own history. We leave it up to the schools, and schools have no incentive to teach Black history, Tom, because it's not to their advantage to tell that story. But we have to tell that story, and we have to be responsible for our own history and keeping it alive. And we just don't do it. So our kids grow up ignorant and dumb and just don't realize how much was done, so they can walk down the street, pants hanging off their butts, um, um, or with their ass hanging all out at the Houston Rodeo Show. For those type of liberties, obscene liberties, that they still have a right to do, which would be unheard of 100 years ago, Tom.
Well, I can't disagree with you in principle, but I will say this. Our household, of course, is the foundation of education for our children, but it is important that our history is not just taught to our children, our households, but it should be institutionalized as well, which I don't have any hope that that's going to happen because our history is actually being eliminated from American history and or world history, whether we talk about Crispus Attucks, the first person who happened to be African, who was killed in the Revolutionary War. And if you look at the sacrifices that we've made in every war, most of that, of course, is not going to be generously or even edgily put into our institutional history because it's not just important for our children to know about that history, it's important for all children to know about that history so that we can understand the contributions that everyone has made into this country since its founding. So, not getting too far off on that one, Jimmy. We want to give kudos to Sonny Rollins as well. Sonny Rollins is a tenor saxophonist. He won a lifetime Grammy, one of the greatest saxophonists, and I'm talking about up there with Charlie Parker and some of those other folks.
Right.
Sonny Rollins was that dude
He
back
was that dude. Yes.
in the heyday, in the heyday of jazz, when it was at really the top of the musicals food chain across all musical genres. He lived to be a healthy old age of 95 years old. And so, anyone who may not be familiar with Sonny Rollins, go back and look at some of his stuff, because he was a musical savant, a genius in his own right. And anyone, of course, if you are especially musically inclined, when you think about the Miles Davises and the Charlie Parkers and the Dizzy Gillespie, Sonny
Right.
Rollins was one of those guys that was up there in that category. And
That is
then,
true.
for those of you who are old school rap fans, I know you know who Rob Bass is. Unfortunately,
Yes.
passed at a too young of an age. I think the life expectancy, the mortality rate of black men in this country is 69 years old, which is the lowest of any demographic and any gender. And Rob Bass died of cancer, but much too young man at 59 years of age. For those of you who are old rap school fans, you probably remember "It Takes Two." One of the
Oh, that was his biggest hit. It takes two. Yes.
yeah, it was Rob Bass and EJ Beasy Rock. They kind of paired together, and between that and then another big hit was "Joy and Pain," the rap version of "Joy and Pain."
Yes. So
So our condolences to their families, those who they touched, loved, made a positive impact in some kind of way, because all of these men were definitely giants in their own right, in their area of creative genius.
I'm gonna give a shout out to thelifestyle360.com. Since we're talking about the life expectancy, Tom, when I came out the hospital, my life expectancy when I took my longevity test was under 70. I don't think it was even 69. I think it was about 4 or 5 years, and I was just 61 at the time. Um, and so that meant that to turn some things around, I had to get myself healthier. Get off the medications, start exercising, start eating right, start doing the things to add years to your life. It's never too late. People don't think because you're 50, 60, 70 that's too late. It's not. So I would highly suggest go out to thelifestyle360.com site. If you need their help, they have a contact page there. Just fill it out and send it to them. But then they also have a free longevity test, a lifespan longevity test that you can take, so take it and see what it says your life expectancy is. If you don't like the number, if it's below the average age for your group, or if it's not a number that you are happy with, then you have time to turn it around. Time, and those are the experts that can help you add more years to your life if you're serious about it. And don't worry about the cost, because if you tell them Black Man Speak sent you, your first consultation is absolutely on us.
All right, absolutely, Jimmy. Well, it's almost a quarter past the hour. Want to acknowledge a couple of folks on the chat line. We got Miss Tanya on the chat line from KGGR News. Make sure that you check her out for the morning and afternoon news. We also have Miss Carol Wilson, I'm sorry, on the line from Fitness 360. Want to thank both of them for their online support for this podcast. And okay, yeah, you are right, Miss Tanya. Said you have to keep moving, a body in motion stays in motion. All right, so you gotta keep
Yes.
moving. You
Keep
can't be
moving, though.
you
Don't be
can't be
sitting on that
on
couch eating bonbons and ice cream all day.
and,
Yeah,
and potato chips.
yeah, potato chips. You got to get up and get that body moving. But it also helps to stay away from those fast food restaurants and start cooking at home. I mean, even if you're cooking bad food at home, at least if you're cooking it, you can start making small substitutes. And thelifestyle360.com folks can help you change over from bad cooking to good, healthy cooking without you having to give up a lot of the things that you enjoy. So, like I said, they are the experts on helping you live longer. So now our people, Tom, especially our men, are dying way too soon. There's no reason for us not to be dying of pancreatic cancer, to be dying of other illness, high blood pressure, diabetes, kidney disease. I mean, these things can be prevented through lifestyle changes. So if you don't go to thelifestyle360.com, go find your lifestyle specialist and start making changes before it's too late. The older you get, um, you're losing time. So you didn't really do, if you're young, if you start when you're younger, then you can, there's no reason you shouldn't live to 80, 90, 100 years old. But if you're already 50 or 60 years old, like I'm 62, just turned 62, um, and I've got my life expectancy from under 70 to over to almost 80 something now. So, and I still have work to do. I'm not done.
All right, good deal. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get to our stories. Why don't we start off with the it's up to you. We can start off with a follow up story.
We can do the follow up story, Tom. This is where I was wrong. If you want to start off with the stepfather,
Okay.
because I think when we discussed the stepfather,
Yeah, you might
I
have to give
predicted
you might have to give an overview for folks who weren't on that last.
basically the stepfather. He married this woman 17 years ago, and she had a child. So it's hard enough for women with children to find someone to marry him, but she got lucky and she found him. I guess they fell in love and got married. But she already had a 1 year old child, so a daughter that he raised as his own until she was 18 years old. And when she was getting ready to graduate high school, he paid for the graduation, paid for the dress, the rental car, the whole thing. And he went out and got her own apartment and was going to take care of her while she went to college. So she wouldn't have to live in the dorm. She would be able to have her own little place, which is Tom, that's a big perk having your own place in college
Yeah.
and having parents who are financial enough to set you up that way. Well, well, well. The mama decided that she wanted to reintroduce her daughter to her biological father, who was a deadbeat, hadn't been around in 17 years, hadn't put one penny towards her support, not a nothing, nothing, Tom, not one red penny.
All right. I'm not exactly sure what happened. It looks like we may have lost Jimmy here for just a second, so we'll give him a minute to. Okay, there we go. Wait a minute. Let's see what we got going on here, folks. All right, Jimmy.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't
looks
know
like
why I
we
keep
got you back.
dropping me. So I
Okay.
was trying to reconnect. So anyway, Tom, the mama decided that she wants to reintroduce her daughter to her biological father and encourages the daughter to uninvite the stepdad to the graduation that he paid for and give that ticket to the biological father who hadn't done anything for her. So I told you that the biological father, this wasn't the first time that something like this had happened to him. This level of disrespect, Tom. The reason it happened to him because he was a beta, and betas get walked on by women all the damn time. Um, but I also predicted, and this is where I was wrong, that he would just go back to the wife, and just like the wife said, don't worry about it. He'll get over it in about a month. He'll be mad for a couple of weeks, but he'll get over it in a month, and then we'll be back to business as usual. Well, Tom, I was wrong because I predicted the same thing that was going to happen. But he left the wife, so they are now separated. And the daughter put out a video saying that maybe she was wrong with going along with the mother because
Maybe she
she,
was wrong.
well, Tom, she said she didn't want to go along with it. It really wasn't her idea.
Oh, it wasn't her
She's
idea.
mama kind
Well,
of
the
coaxed her
question is,
into it.
who uninvited him, the mother or her?
Her
Okay, so
ultimately.
how she
So,
gonna
but
blame
she
it on
said
that?
she was talking to her by the mom, Tom. But anyway, her update is she's been evicted. She's in the process of being evicted from her apartment because guess who's not paying for it anymore?
Daddy
That beta
Warbucks.
dad.
Daddy Warbucks.
He decided to grow a pair of time and stand up for himself. I don't want to see families break up. Now, the mom put out a video also saying that if you really love the daughter and supposedly you raised her like it was your own, well, how would you do something like this to just cut her off like that and to cut mama off too? 'Cause I guess mama's feeling the financial pinch also. So, but I'm glad to see that dad actually is starting to stand up for himself. Maybe there's a chance for them now to reconcile and get back together with a new understanding, Tom, that going forward, I will not be disrespected and devalued in my own home that I'm taking care of. And a child is not my biological child that I'm helping to support. You and your daughter will never, ever disrespect me again because if you do, maybe next time I don't come back.
Jimmy, let and I was the one after I watched that initial video that said, no, this dude is gone. This
You
dude is
did say
gone.
that. I say he was gonna go back, but you're right.
This dude,
He's gone.
I was listening to the tone of this dude's voice, and I was listening to the body language. It was like, no, I don't think this dude is going to go back and say, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just let this thing pass. After you have invested 17 years in raising someone else's biological child, even though if he invested 17 years, that is his daughter, even though it's not his biological daughter. And for someone, the daughter, much less the mother, to have the gall to go back and say, you know what, I mean, I have no problem with the daughter getting to know her biological father because most children
He
don't.
Tom, he didn't have a problem with it either.
Right.
You know, he said it's okay for her to to be in
But
contact with her biological
but
father.
to kick dust in his face after this man has raised her for 17 years, funded her and the mother for 17 years, made a commitment of, his prime years, and then they're just going to wantonly uninvite him to a graduation that he rightfully earned. No, I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think he should go back saying, "Well, if this happens one more time, that's like I'm not going to three strikes on this. You got one strike, and I'm out."
Tom, it wasn't just financial support. The stepdad also said he went to every event, every school function, every PTA. He was there for whatever she was involved in. He was there to support her. How do you then turn around and uninvite that man, from your graduation after all he's done and he's been there for you, for someone, even if it's your biological dad, who hasn't been there in 17 years and also want to step into the picture and now get to the front of the parade line?
I don't understand how the daughter even has the audacity to fix her mouth to uninvite her daddy for someone who she hasn't even seen in 17 years and who hasn't invested anything. I just I can't I
Tom,
can't
I can understand it because the
as we
daughter has grown up. Go ahead.
as we used to say back in school, that dog ain't gonna hunt.
Yeah, not in Texas is not. But
No,
Tom, she's grown up watching mom disrespect dad, stepdad.
we
So
can't say
she,
that. I
so
don't know.
I do. That's how betas operate, man. Women really don't like betas, and so betas often find themselves disrespected, hated in their own home that they support. That's the life of a beta, and the only reason mom keeps them around is to pay the bills. She doesn't care for them, she don't love them, she don't respect them. But that's the life of a beta, and normally betas end up, if they do leave, they end up going back to that abusive relationship because they don't have anything else. They're very codependent. But and if they do leave Tom, like you suggested he did, which he did, they generally end up being more of a sort of the Buster or the Gamma type personality, where they go out and just be a very abusive, cheats, liars, and everything else. The next couple of women he get involved with, I guarantee you're not going to go well for him. Because he's gonna be trying to get revenge on what the wife did to him for 17 years, and then this was that one straw, Tom, that broke the camel back. All that hate you piled on, and then just one more piece of grass, and bam, that was it. Mama's thinking like, you put up with this for 17 years. Why all of a sudden now are you drawing the line and decide to grow a pair?
Well, I don't have the background, the 17-year history on it, but I will say this much: congratulations to that brother for finding his dignity and moving on because I would not give someone who I invested that much time and energy into to raise someone else's daughter to become my daughter to disrespect me in the household that I am paying for and the investment that I've made. I still am dumbfounded at the fact that she had the audacity to replace him with someone she hadn't seen in 17 years. So I guess
Gave the ticket to the biological dad in the
right,
end.
exactly. So the question would be, how do you know when you're getting punked? It may not be something overt, but this guy's trying to do the right thing. He met someone, obviously, they fell in love or whatever happens that led to them being married. A daughter that was 1 years old did not even know her own father, invested in raising her. So he's trying to do the things that we say a man should do. Take responsibility, treat your woman well, treat your wife well, raise your daughter like that. These are the things that we promote and advocate doing.
Yes, that's true, Tom. Except he happened to fall in love with a woman who's probably still in love with her ex. So
I
uh,
well,
life, life, life of a beta, Tom. It doesn't pay. That's why the expression that good guys finish last. What it really should say is betas finish last. Beta men finish last when women. They like I said, women just don't. They don't love them. They don't. Women, I give them credit. They try. And especially college educated women after there's a reason why 65% of college educated women are divorced after 7 years. They give it a try. They marry these betas because they're safe. They work. They're not going to cheat on you. They're not going to lie. They're not going to beat you up or anything like that. They're safe and you can control them. They will acquiesce to whatever you want. But in the end, time after about 3 or 4 years, they get absolutely fed up with their lack of leadership, their lack of stand up for themselves, and lack of self esteem. It wears on them. And after 7 years, they just can't stand it anymore and they're out. They're either going to divorce you, and if they don't divorce you, they stay in the marriage, but they're just in there because you're paying the bills. They have no love for you. There's no sex. There's no intimacy. There's nothing. And that becomes a miserable existence. This is what your kids growing up. This is what the young men and this is what these young girls saw. I've had to to guess, and it's just an educated guess. I would guess that this is not the first time Mama's done something like this to this man. And I think the daughter went along with it because Mama talked her into it. Because Mama's been right. She's disrespected him in the past. He's always gotten over it. He may have pounded his chest a little bit, but he always got over it. So when Mama says he's going to get over it, don't worry about it. She's talking from past history, Tom, because she said it quite confidently. The daughter believed this to her heart that the stepdad was going to get over it and everything would be okay at that point. Well, everything is not okay.
well, I guess now she gonna have to get over that L she just got because she just lost. She just lost her man. She just lost. She just lost that wallet, and obviously her daughter just got evicted. So maybe the mama want to pay for the apartment, but they better figure it out now.
Tom, mom can't even pay for the house she's in. The husband was paying for that. She's in financial distress also.
Well,
Maybe they could
unfortunately,
do a GoFundMe page.
nah, she should have thought about that before she should have thought to pump her husband.
Well, Tom, she didn't think he was going to leave. Maybe she wouldn't have done it if she thought this was going to happen. She feels victimized. Her and the daughter, she feel mama feel that they've been wrong. Y'all calling me a bad mom
Oh,
and said I
just like the other woman who picked the daddy just based upon just because of his wallet, and then all of a sudden,
yes.
when the son decides to find a biological father and then dish the mother, then she's talking about she get wrong because she made the right decision to actually tell her son that a man that wasn't his biological was his father just because he made more money.
Tom, that's what she said. She made the logical choice, the correct logical choice to pick the guy with the deeper pockets. Because the biological dad was at McDonald's making $8 an hour. And she couldn't, who was going to pay, how was he going to take care of her on $8 an hour when he can't even take care of himself with $8 an hour?
She should have thought about that when she was having a child with him.
Well, Tom, she said it was just one of her hoes.
Yeah.
So it was just a sexual thing.
Well, I guess the question who's the hoe now?
Well, yeah. So anyway,
All
one
right,
more
let's go to
follow
the
up
next
time on
question.
the story that we did last week to make it quick.
Yeah.
I think his name is Colin Alford down in Dallas District 32 or District 33. A Democrat. He just won his primary race. Tom, this is one of those districts that was redrawn by Texas, and it's a predominantly white district now. Um, and
I don't think
just to
we talked
show,
about this. I don't think we talked about this last week.
we talked about gerrymandering and like with the NAACP calling for a boycott
Oh, okay,
of
okay,
the
I got you.
South
All right,
over
all right.
redistricting. But their claim is that black people can't get elected by white district.
No, they,
And
they didn't claim that. That wasn't their claim.
what's their claim, Tom?
Their claim is that they were splitting up predominantly black political districts in order to off their political representation. They did not claim that their black people could not be elected in a white district.
Well,
Their claim is that that predominantly black districts, just like in Houston, just like in Dallas, just like in Memphis, Tennessee, were getting split into two and three in order to eliminate representation that those particular districts that were intact actually representing at the state and federal level. That was their issue, not the fact that
okay, so the courts determined that was against the law that you can't divide up a district and create a district based on race. You can base it on
but
anything
but
that's
but
not a
they are,
protected class.
but they are.
Who are?
The Jerry, I mean, what they're saying is they are in essence, when you look at the results, they are in essence gerrymandering and redistricting specific groups based upon not just political reasons, but based upon racial lines. And if you look
Right, and Tom, and then unless you can prove that, you can go to court and try to prove it. But it does make more logical sense when you group people together based on geography. That I'm pretty sure the people of Shreveport and the people of Bossier and the little surrounding suburbs around Shreveport have more in common than a carved out piece of Shreveport that goes all the way down to Baton Rouge, through Opelousas and into New Orleans, where you're carving out little pieces in all these cities in order to make a black district. What do the people, black folks in Shreveport, have to do with the black folks in New Orleans? The people in Shreveport probably have more in common with the people in Bossier City or Greenville or Dawson Creek area than they do with anybody outside of the Shreveport area. So the based on geography makes more sense. And you make a logical argument that makes more sense than carving up districts and putting and stringing them together. I mean, that black district through Louisiana. I mean, it went from Shreveport all the way down to New Orleans and was pieced together. If you ever saw it like spaghetti, all the way through the middle of the state, hitting all of the black areas in every little township along the way. That was more than 100,000 people. That makes no sense, Tom. I know we're all black, but trust me, I've lived in New Orleans, went to school down there, and the culture in New Orleans, black folks there don't really share much and for the culture of northern Louisiana. They don't share the Creole, French Creole that you find out in southern Louisiana. The folks up in New Orleans, northern Louisiana, have a totally different vibe, and so to group them together as if they have something in common is just wrong, Tom. So, but this goes to show that if black folks can get elected in white districts, then where's the harm? Just run for whatever district there is. It doesn't seem like it's harming any black folks, keeping them from running. Um, you may not have a guaranteed victory, but you can still run if you can make a good argument against your opponent who's running against you. It's been demonstrated that white folks will vote for you. They voted for Obama. They voted for
But
Book
Obama, I
Karen.
mean, you can't really compare Obama because obviously
Why
Obama.
he's not black, Tom?
No, because he was
He
running
didn't
for
get elected
president.
by a majority of white people.
If you will, if you let me finish, you're talking
Okay.
about someone who's running for president. We're not talking about someone who is running for a representative district.
Even more important, that was you would think being president is more
But
important
but
than the
but
House
but
of
but, but,
Representatives
but, but
job.
Jimmy, but Jimmy, we're talking about local and state elections versus a national election.
Well, Tom, once again, all I see is black folks, Republican and Democrats, being able to win races in predominantly white districts. So once again, where is the harm? It doesn't seem like it's slowing any.
It is
Colin
harmful.
Alfred.
It is harmful when you split up a specific district that is predominantly white or predominantly Hispanic or predominantly black, which is what happened. And let's say you take a Houston or you take a Dallas or a segment of Dallas, let's call it Oak Cliff. And let's say that you put a circle around the Oak Cliff area and say this is a particular district. Well, what has happened in the state of Texas and in Louisiana and in Tennessee, Memphis in particular, is they took something like an Oak Cliff, and as opposed to surrounding Oak Cliff, they split Oak Cliff up into three different segments and then run it all north just so they can bring in some other folks who don't look like most of the folks in Oak Cliff so that they can ensure that they eliminate certain people who have been representing that specific district in Oak Cliff. What they'll do is they'll
Okay, and once again, Tom, those divisions are based on geography. There's not enough. You don't have 700. You
no.
don't have 700,000
They're
people
not,
in
they're
Oak
not, they're
Cliff.
not, they're not based upon geography. They're based upon someone asking someone to get some more seats. That's what is happening,
Okay,
and that's a fact.
that's not a fact, Tom.
Yes, it
The
is.
fact is these lines are drawn based on geography. But even if they were based on politics, like for instance, Tom, I think last week I mentioned Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island didn't have one
But but but,
Republican
but you can't.
elected. Hold on, Tom. Let me just. They've gerrymandered those states so bad that there's not one Republican representative. And then I found out it's actually worse than that, Tom. In the entire Northeast, New England area, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, all the way down to the state's border in Pennsylvania. There is not one Republican representative in the Northeast, in the New England state. They have gerrymandered those so bad that Republicans cannot get elected, even though Republicans represent the people, represent about 40% of the population in New England. So, but it seems like no one cares when Democrats gerrymander areas to create black districts, to create districts where they can only win. But when Republicans do it, it seems to be an issue. So, I don't see the harm because unlike New England, at least Democrats can get elected down south. So they're not totally locked out. If it was left up to me, I would say, hey, we need to take the New England model and do the same. Make it where no Democrats never get elected down south, if that's the case. But that didn't happen, Tom. So since black people can get elected in white districts on the Republican and Democrat side, we have quite a few here in Texas that's happened. So I don't see the harm. There doesn't seem to be any damage at this point. Let's just take the new map, and when Democrats take control of Texas, they can redraw the map how they want to. But since Republicans control Texas, they have the right, as long as they don't do it on racial lines or by age or by sex, a gender or some protected class, they can redraw the lines however they want, Tom. So let's just go with the law because that's the law of the land of Texas now.
And it will flip, and it'll be very interesting when it happens because let's be very clear. This is not based upon political lines. This is based upon racial lines. It is very clear because I mean, if you don't have to like her, but Jasmine Crockett's district was basically eliminated based upon political lines. And if you look at what her district represents in the Dallas County area, I mean, they basically sliced up her district in order to eliminate her. The same thing with Al Green, who is in the Harris County area. I mean, they sliced up his district so they could off him. And these are predominantly black districts. And so what they are in essence doing is someone says go find seats, and they go find seats, and they find seats that they are flipping seats that were in predominantly black communities by slicing up those districts.
Okay, Tom, I don't know about the other states, but I can
They,
tell you
they, they've,
Texas,
done, they've done it in Texas, and they've done it
Texas, Tom,
and
had
listen,
to redistrict.
they didn't have to do anything.
Yes, it did, Tom, because they had a population growth, so they had to redistrict based on
No, they didn't.
population. They
No, they
did,
didn't.
Tom.
No, they didn't.
They did. Why are you
No,
saying, Tom? For every 700,000 people, I think the number is like 730,000 now, is what it takes to make a congressional district. So as people have left California, New York, and other states that move, Texas gets 100,000 new people every month. With that many people moving in and people not moving out, they end up with a net gain, a huge population growth. That population needs to be properly represented. They shouldn't have their vote diluted by so when states like California and New York, when they lose seats based on population, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, especially Florida and Tennessee end up gaining seats. All those states gained seats. Texas gained the most. We gained 5 seats. We had to redistrict to represent the new
The
population
Republicans
growth.
gained 5 seats by taking them from
What's a
predominantly
Republican
black.
state, Tom?
I understand that, Jimmy, but in Republican, this is the fact. This is what you're not saying. When you look at Texas, is a Republican state. Now, if you take Houston and you take Dallas and you take Austin, those are the areas obviously that have more Democratic representation spontaneously and not figuratively. They happen to have a more of a diverse population, meaning black, meaning Hispanic, meaning otherwise. And so, historically speaking, even though the rural and the suburban areas of Texas overwhelmingly are conservative and Republican, when you look at Dallas, when you look at Houston, and when you look at Austin, they are more diverse. They are more black and brown, and they have a history of having Democratic representation. But when someone says, "Go find me 5 seats," then all of a sudden that gets split up, and all of a sudden that representation changes just spontaneously politically. Louisiana, 1/3 of the population of Louisiana is black. How many representatives do they have? One. That is
Okay, Tom,
that is
and it's interesting that you mentioned Louisiana because this is where the whole court battle started. They went to court making that same argument that you just made, and it ended up blowing up on them because the courts then ruled. I mean, initially they ruled that yeah, maybe there should be a second seat
yes,
for black folks in Louisiana based on the numbers. But when it went to the Supreme Court
yes,
did the right thing by saying, no, you can't be carving out special districts for black people. Hispanic people, for Lebanese lesbian midgets. Everybody can start making a claim that they need a special district just for them, for representation purposes. Women are the majority of the country. I don't see women getting up saying they need to have a majority women district so they can get women elected. So no, Tom, nobody has a special carve out.
No, Jimmy,
So if you,
it is not a special carve out. It is basic.
Tom, they went to court to argue for another carve out for a black
Jimmy,
seat.
let me make a point. Let me make a
Go
point. Let me
ahead.
finish the point. If you have 100 people in a specific state, and you say, okay, well, a third of that state is black and or is brown. Well, when you carve out these districts, it's usually done by population. Yes or no?
Yeah, 700,000,
And
seven
so
hundred thirty thousand per district.
okay, one would think that based upon that population being one third is going to actually represent that one third of the population. Not
Not
so.
necessarily,
Exactly. And that is,
because the one third may be spread out in different
it
cities
is
and
not
different
spread out, it
counties.
is not spread out, Jimmy. When you,
It is.
Jimmy, it
So
is
so
not.
so so Tom, okay, go look at the district maps now. That long line of that stretch that's went from Shreveport to New Orleans to the middle of Louisiana is going now. Go look at the district now, and you have areas carved out by geography. The areas around Shreveport is one district, including Bossier City now. In Alexandria, the areas around Alexandria is a district. The areas around New Orleans is a district. So all the areas now are carved out and they're grouped together by district, I mean by geography, not strung together so they can try to piece together a few thousand black folks here, a few thousand black
No,
folks
it's
there.
not. It's Jimmy. Jimmy, it's based upon population.
Yes,
You just
and,
said
and,
based
and, and
upon
and
population.
black folks are not the majority of the population
No,
in
they're
the
not the
Shreveport area.
majority. I never said they were the majority of the population. What I did say
So
was
if you
they were.
group them by geography, Tom, and that's what it's based on, and black folks are not the majority in that geographic area, then how do you expect to get a geographic district for black people unless you piece together several areas and string them all together into one district? You have to be creative to get enough concentration of black population throughout the state to form a district. And you end up having the carves and pieces out here, carves and pieces out there. Even New Orleans now is not majority black anymore after Katrina. A lot of black folks left New Orleans and and where it's not even majority black anymore. So all you could do is carve out areas in these cities and piece them together to try to make a black district, and that is a special carve out. You may not want to call it that, but if all the black people in Louisiana were to pile up and move to one area, then you'd have an argument. Because that district would then, that area or the areas around there would be geographically based. They would all be in one area. And then, they would have the representation that you're talking about. It would probably would be a third of the seats at that point, if they're a third of the population. If they're all in a concentrated geographic area. But they're not. Those areas, Tom, are not enough people to form a district. So they have to piecemeal it. And you can't, if you're trying to get away from piecemealing and based on geography, oh well, that's how the lines are drawn now. Except in Florida, they still left Dade County for black folks down there. And Debbie Washman Schultz, whose district got carved up, she lost her district, decided to run in the black district to upseat a black Democrat down in Florida, Tom.
Louisiana, Louisiana, a third of Louisiana is black.
Spread out all over the place, yes.
No, they are concentrated.
Yes. Where are
No,
they concentrated, Tom?
in the major population cities
Okay, they're in Shreveport, they're in
in the
Baton Rouge.
major, in Jimmy, they are spread out in the major population hubs as they are in most of the southern states.
And tell me which population hub are they the majority in?
Jimmy,
Are
if
they the
you let
majority
me,
in Shreveport? Just answer the question, Tom. See, I know you don't like answering these
no,
questions.
Jimmy, if you would let me finish, you don't let me
I,
finish anything
okay, go
without
ahead.
interrupting.
Okay,
The
answer the
major
question.
population hubs are New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Bossier City. I forgot the central part. Not as much there, but if you look at the MSMAs in New Orleans, that is the major hub of most of the black folks in Louisiana. Yeah, you're gonna have black folks spread out in certain rural areas. You're always gonna have that, but the largest concentration of black folks in Louisiana, just like in Texas, are going to be in the major cities. That's where when you're going to have per capita more representation because you're going to have a larger concentration of black folks in those areas. And we need to finish up in one meeting because we've got a couple
Let,
more.
let, let me get one rebuttal in and we can move on, Tom.
Yeah, we
If
need
you
to
look
move
at the
on
population,
because it's a quarter. It's a quarter till.
is it? Yeah, you wasted all that time.
Oh,
New
I'm
Orleans is
wasting
the
all the time. You the one that's been
yes.
doing all the
New
talking.
New
You hear me?
Orleans, New Orleans, Tom is the largest city.
I've been respectfully listening.
Okay, I'll let you
You
speak. So
interrupt me.
let's one rebuttal. New Orleans is the largest city in Louisiana. And Tom, it only has 650,000. So if you took all of New Orleans by itself, it's still not enough to make a congressional district. They're still about 100,000 short. And so black folks are not the majority in New Orleans. So New Orleans as a population hub, you have to combine that with the black folks in Baton Rouge, Bossier, Shreveport, Bossier City, Opelousas. You got to string together a bunch of different areas to make 700,000 black folks in Louisiana. That's the point, and that's what they had, and that's what the court said was against the law. So we can move on, Tommy, because none of those population cities that you mentioned have 700,000 black folks in it to make a district. If they did, then there would be a district. Dade County in Florida has 700,000 black folks or black and brown folk, so they get to keep that district. Well, otherwise they would have got carved up also. But anyway, Tom, we got some two
And
interesting stories.
I will make one statement and we move forward.
Okay, go ahead.
New Orleans is 55% black. Now let's move forward.
Okay, 650,000 population. That means about
Again,
300,000
and
black folks.
my point was is that the major concentrations of black folks are in the largest cities. That's
So you have
all.
to combine those larger city populations to make a black district. How do you get to 700,000 when half of New Orleans is black? Let's say 300,000, 350,000. How do you get 700,000 out of that, Tom? How do you get a black district in New Orleans and there are only 300,000 black folks down there? You can't. The only way you get to 700,000, you got to combine it with Baton Rouge. You got to combine it with Shreveport to get up to 700,000. That's not geographically connected. That's race connected. And you're purposely trying to draw a district to get 700,000 black folk grouped together.
No. Let's move forward.
Okay, let's move forward. What's our next? Oh, which one do you want to cover?
It doesn't matter. I'll let you pick the next because we got a couple.
Let's do the track star.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's do the track so we can move, maybe do that one. No, let's go into the racial profiling one first, and then we'll go to track and then go into sports. Maybe go a few minutes over. So here's a story I was telling you about. Time a guy gets shot with his own gun by law enforcement.
Imagine this. You're a law-abiding citizen, pulled over in a routine traffic stop.
What's up, my man? Hey, you got a valid driver's license, proof of insurance, all that good stuff? Hey, you blew that red light.
I like your yellow and turned red when I went out there.
It was red when you blew it.
It was yellow.
Okay. Well, I saw it. It was red. So,
Saw it.
you got anything crazy in the car?
Yeah.
What you got?
A gun.
You got a gun? You do? All right. Where's that? It's on you? Okay. He's very compliant. He does have a pistol on him. So, we're going to take him out from that side, remove the pistol, and we'll go from there. All right?
Yeah.
Where's your pistol at on?
On my side.
Okay. Just put your hands on the top of the vehicle for me.
Then suddenly, you're shot with your own gun by the very officer sworn to protect and serve.
I appreciate it, man, being very
Oh,
honest.
yeah, all right.
Oh, you okay? Hey. Put the gun down. Put it down. Put the gun down. You okay?
The body cam footage is chilling, and the fallout swift.
Tom, comments?
Lawsuit.
Actually, you know what? He decided not to sue. He didn't even file a complaint against the department. He got out of the hospital, Tom, and went back to work. Evidently, he's a crane operator. He says he's a law-abiding citizen. He supports the blue. Personally, Tom, yeah, I'd be in state court, federal court, whatever court I can get to if they had shot me with my own gun.
I don't know what kind of drugs they got that guy on, but I mean, and it's not about him. It's about other folks who unfortunately are also profiled who end up losing their lives, and the many who have lost their lives. And I would say that you can do whatever you want to, but yeah, it's your responsibility not just to fight for you, but to fight for other people who unfortunately do not have the cameras on them when law enforcement actually takes their rights away and shoots them with his own gun.
Yeah, I mean, according to the Mims case, I mean, law enforcement does have the right to ask you to step out of the car,
That's fine.
but that's only if they feel that there's some kind of threat. And they can detain you and put you in handcuffs. Well, but you pulling them over for running a
At
red
no
light.
point in time was he a threat.
Right. So you pull them over for running a red light. They don't justify you pulling them out of the car. You got to feel like they're. But really, the underlying suspicion was Tom. He thought the car was stolen. He thought this black man had stolen his vehicle because you're a black man driving a nice vehicle. So obviously you must have stolen. And really, the red light was just a pretext to pull him over. Get them out of the car so they can search and do what they were going to do. But really, this guy has a really great case to sue the city, the department, the young lady who pulled the gun out and shot him. She ended up losing her job. But they did render aid. They got him to the hospital as quickly as they could. They did everything they could to patch him up. But still, you're shot.
But that's one out of 1,000 that actually gets caught on camera. To the many other ones, that we've reported and don't even know about, where you have law enforcement officers who are targeting and profiling people just because of what they look like, and shake them down, plant drugs on them. In some cases, who end up losing their lives over some foolishness.
And sometimes, Tom, what you're saying is correct. There's a lot of racial profiling going on with police departments. But there are two channels that I follow on YouTube. One called Audit the Audit. These are people who go out and audit the police, make sure they're obeying the rules, following the law. And they post these videos of their interaction with them. And and the lawsuits that follow when they violate the rules of a citizen. Like when I was in law school, Tom, I used to wonder how the hell do civil rights attorneys get paid? I know how criminal lawyers get paid, corporate lawyers, patent lawyers, but business lawyers. But how the hell these civil rights lawyers get paid when the civil rights movement is over with? But evidently, this is how they get paid, Tom. They take up cases like this when they find people whose rights have been violated, and they sue on your behalf. But this guy refused or declined to sue the department. So, and then the other story that we have. I was going to say that I was discussing this with the wife, and she made a very pertinent point that a lot of times, sometimes it's not based on color, because when you watch Audit the Audit or the Civil Rights Lawyer, most of those channels I watch, most of the people who have their civil rights violated by the police, Tom, are white. At least most of the videos that are posted out there about white people, but they're poor white people. So poor black people, poor white people, what they have in common, they're both poor. So if you're somewhat affluent, you may get pulled over because they think you're not supposed to be driving such a nice vehicle. But most of the time, for petty stuff, they escalate to violence, an arrest over simple traffic stops. Generally, it's poor people that get harassed like that. And the reason being, Tom, is they don't file complaints. They don't sue. They don't follow up when their civil rights are violated. They're just happy to sign whatever they have to sign, plead guilty, and just move on in life. So when they really should fight and stand up for their
Which
rights.
means they don't. Which means they don't know their rights. Now, in the case of this dude, he need to have his ass whooped, because as many brothers that have lost their lives unnecessarily over some foolishness, whether it was by law enforcement or another. Again, he's not doing this just for him, but he's doing this for a lot of other people who unfortunately never get their day in court, who don't live to see their day in court. And so, God bless him, and that's fine. But that's, just a silly thing to happen. This dude gets shot with his own car. And to your point, he's complying with law enforcement, and he still gets shot.
Oh yeah, the officer said, they told the other officer he's complying. He wasn't doing anything wrong, nothing threatening. He told you, but he had a right to. He had a concealed license permit, so he had a right to have the gun on his
And
body like that.
he'd rather just go back to work and make some money as opposed to court and get his judgment and move on.
Well, sometimes a lot of times people are like that. So,
All right,
which is why.
it's about 5 minutes to the hour, so we need to
Okay,
talk
you want
sports story. Let's
want
go to
to
the sports story with this dude who
do? Okay, here we go. Let's play the next clip.
this picture mean to you? It sparked quite the conversation online. This is a North Carolina high school track athlete holding up his hand as he crosses the finish line in the final race of the state championship on Friday. Maybe you saw this over the weekend, or maybe it's all new to you. Either way, let's break this down. Long story short, a high school lost out on a state championship in North Carolina because of how an athlete celebrated in the final race of the meet. Here's the full clip. That student athlete is Nyan Brown from Mallard Creek High School in Charlotte. He's set to run track for NC State later this year. You can see the shock on his face when the ref disqualified him at the end of the race, saying the gesture with his arm, with his hand, was unsportsmanlike, that he was showboating or taunting. You see, Brown was the final leg of the 4x400 relay, and he won it. And that would have given Mallard Creek enough points to win the overall track and field state championship. But because of that DQ, they didn't get those points, so they came up short. They got second. Jordan High School in Durham won the state championship instead. The school posted about it on their Instagram page. It's the first time their men's track and field team has won a state title. We reached out to Jordan High School. They declined to comment. But this story, this conversation isn't really about Jordan High School. It's about the call by the official. Was the gesture really that bad? Did the punishment fit the crime? Was it even a crime in the first place?
So, Tom, one of the things to notice in this clip, I don't know if people noticed, that orange cone was the finish line. He crossed the finish line and then raised his hand up, and the judge disqualified him. The race is over once he crossed the finish line. So how you going to disqualify? Even if he did celebrate, do a backflip, jump up and down, so what? The race is over with at that point. It wasn't like, I don't know if you remember, maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, Sha'Carri Richards was doing the 20 meter. And she was going up against these two Jamaicans who had previously won that race. And the first 100 meters time, they were well in front of Sha'Carri. But then that second 100, she came back, she passed the Jamaican. And as she was passing, she gave us a hand signal to say, I'll see you later, bye. And as she went on and blew past the girl. Now that I would understand if that would have happened. If you blow by somebody, you give it a hand signal like, hey, bye, I'll see you at the finish line because you're toast now. But to cross the finish line at time and just raise it wasn't even a fist. It was just his hand, just raise his hand. Disqualification.
I don't know what that particular gesture means, but I will say this. I think, unfortunately, that young man was robbed.
He was.
The school was robbed, cheated. I think I don't know if they protested.
They did.
Call.
They filed a complaint with the school board and the state, but the state didn't overturn it.
And where was this again?
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, the district and the state school board said that he didn't do anything wrong, but it was a judgment call by the judge, and so they had to pretty much, they had to stick to the call. They had to support the call.
Well, then maybe they need to push it up to the next level and get it to the next level. But in terms of go to federal court, but I think that is a shame. That is a travesty that you take what they earned away from them for something as superfluous and harmless as putting up an arm gesture, even though I don't know what that particular arm gesture means. But yeah, they should take that to
just celebrate. Sometimes athletes may put both hands up.
Celebration is a part of sports. He did not taunt anybody. He did not look at anybody else in the face. He didn't do anything that anybody would consider to be harmful to any of the other athletes. Yeah, there wasn't anybody close enough for him to do that to. So I think
True.
they should take that to federal court because they should not have robbed them of what they rightfully earned.
And especially when those kids work hard time to be there. You're talking about state championship, so they had to win lots of races to qualify to get there and go up a lot of good schools. You're right; they shouldn't have taken that away
Yeah, take,
so easily like that.
I
And
would
then
say
on
take
top
that
of
to
that,
federal court.
if you're going to taunt someone, that means you have to have the intent
Exactly.
to do so. And there was no intent there. I mean, he didn't even know he. I mean, I'm sure he knew who was behind him. He knew he had won, but he didn't like turn around and go run in somebody's face. And he didn't make any cutthroat signals. He didn't do a fist. He didn't punch. He didn't do any of that. He just
And
raised his hand up.
even if he did put up his fist somewhere, he didn't put up his fist like he was going to hit somebody. If he would have put up his fist like, yeah, I won. I mean, again, this is a part of sports.
What was the '72 Olympics where the black
Yeah,
athletes were holding up
yeah,
the black
exactly.
power signal? So
With
yeah, he didn't do any of that.
with the black glove, but they were protesting. They were
So yeah,
protesting.
none of that was going on, and there's no way the judge could interpret his intent by putting his hand up and determine that that was taunting, or that he was taunting someone. First of all, there's nobody around him to taunt.
And that judge should be removed from all of his duties.
He definitely should. So Tom, we're going to go a few minutes over, but let's talk about the that choke job of San Antonio the
Oh
other
yeah,
night.
we got to get to sports, and then we'll wrap it up. So yeah, we are in the well, I guess now the West Conference Finals. The East Conference Finals are over with. The New York Knicks ended up beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. They didn't just beat them; they swept them. 14.
Tom, they didn't just sweep them, Tom. They sucked all of the life out of Cleveland. That last game, game four, I don't even think Cleveland was really trying to even be in it. I think they just went out there and said, let's just get this over with and go home.
But the
I
sad
don't even
thing about
think
it, Jimmy, it was on their own court. They was
Tom,
they got humiliated on their own court, and they gave up on their own home court.
yeah, Tom, that game one sucked all the life out of them. When you were up 22 points with 7 minutes left, any NBA team should be able to close that out.
Yeah.
Any NBA team, even the worst NBA team, should be able to close that out, and they lost that game. I think that took everything out of them, and of course they couldn't stop
So,
Bronson.
so
Harden
what you're
just
saying is they ripped their heart out in game one.
and they ripped the heart out of him, Tom. They didn't have nothing left after that. And then game four, it was obvious they had nothing, zero in the tank. They couldn't get out that court fast enough. They didn't care about the fans. They didn't care about who was watching. All they wanted to do was just get this over with and go home. They
So
didn't
the
have any
question,
desire to even try to win a game and even prolong it after that.
this is the first time that Cleveland has been to the Eastern Conference Finals in a while, though.
It's been a couple of years now,
I
yes.
mean, since the LeBron years, quite frankly.
No, no, they went. Did they go to with Halliburton?
Oh, Tyrese Halliburton. I don't even. Where is Tyrese Halliburton now?
I was wondering the same thing. Where is he? I know he
Okay.
hurt his ankle or Achilles tendon a couple of years ago, but I thought he'd be returned by now. And he's still nowhere in sight. So,
I know, and I don't. I'll say this because the Eastern Conference, you know, Milwaukee, they're done. I mean, they're starting from scratch. They're just trying to find a buyer. For their juggernaut center Giannis. The
yeah.
76ers are still trying to get over the hump. Boston, you thought Boston was going to do better than what they did. So I don't know what Cleveland is going to do other than make a coaching change like the New York Knicks did that actually got them over the hump because it was just last year that Tom Thibodeau got fired after 2 years in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they never could get to the championship. They fired Tom Thibodeau. They bring in Mike Brown, who actually used to be the head coach of Cleveland, the Lakers for a year, who the Sacramento Kings, and now Cleveland.
I would say the Sacramento Kings, Tom, he made an improvement there because I think he won Coach of the Year
He did.
for the Sacramento. But they made an improvement, but they didn't make like a serious playoff championship
But how
run.
long has it been since Sacramento was even in the playoffs? I think it had been
Yes, Tom.
it had been like 15 or 16 years since Sacramento.
They've been a doormat for a very long time until
So
Brown got there
the fact that they got
and
to the
turned it around.
playoffs, and the fact that they got to the playoffs, and what did Sacramento do this year? Nothing.
Nothing. So he has a record time for turning teams around at least, and you can't win a championship if you can't get to the playoffs. Once you get there, I mean, everybody has a chance at that point. So at least he's proven his pedigree that he can turn things around,
There you
at
go.
least get a team to the playoff.
There
Now,
you
whether
go.
he can win a championship, we'll see.
That remains to be seen. And now we go to the Western Conference Finals, where the Oklahoma, the world champion, returning world champion Oklahoma Thunder up 3-2 on the San Antonio Spurs. They did not give them any room to breathe yesterday in that game. But hey, you got uh, 2 out of 3. It's now win or go home for San Antonio.
And all I can say, Tom, is that the San Antonio coach, this is every reason why I called for Papa to come out of retirement and come back and coach that team. This is one of the worst goddamn playoffs coach. Mike Brown would have won this goddamn 4-1 or 4-2 by now. But this damn coach is not. You have one of the most dominant players in the NBA. Easily could make an argument that he was MVP this year over SGA. And somehow you can't figure out how to get him more shots. When he scores,
But Jimmy, he didn't have a good game. He was like 4 or 15. He did not have a good game yesterday. He was, I think,
Tom,
he played for.
because they selling for too many threes. They're trying to beat Oklahoma at their own
Well,
game.
I
Oklahoma
would agree with
plays.
that.
Oklahoma is an outside shooting team. Then they play outside in. San Antonio is just the opposite. They play inside out. So you have to have a good inside scoring game to open up the 3-point shooters on the outside. But when Wembley's out there shooting threes, Fox is shooting threes, Harper shooting threes, Castle shooting threes, nobody's driving to the basket, attacking the
But
basket.
yeah, but there's something that you say quite a bit, Jimmy. You win by the 3 and you die by the 3.
You die by that. That's true. And
And San Antonio died by the 3, and
they die by it.
because they've got a strong inside game. But one of the things that I'm going to say that I do not like about today's NBA, and I understand and appreciate, what Stephen Curry has done for the league with the Golden State Warriors, but they're a completely different team, during their prime. But they the NBA is just way too 3-point happy these days, and I mean across the board. Is not just San Antonio, but the NBA is just too 3-point happy these days, and it I think takes away something from the game, in my opinion.
Well, Tom, when you're a little winded or worn down a little bit, a little tired,
Lazy,
fatigued,
call it
it
lazy.
becomes easier to shoot the 3-point shot rather than fight to get a closer shot. Because the closer you get to the basket, the harder it gets. People are contesting. The double team comes. There's a lot of bodies in that little small area, so it's not impossible to score. Just harder to score. Versus just coming down and jacking up a three, that's easy. And like you said, it's just lazy. And
It's lazy.
if you play that style and try to out 3-point shoot the Oklahoma, you're generally going to lose. The only way you beat them is you got to play inside out, not outside in.
Right, and again, it is very rare that what I've seen, Jimmy, and I'm looking at the playoffs now, the regular season. What the hell happened to transition game, Jimmy? I mean, what happened to transition game in the NBA?
Yeah, Tom. Like I said, it takes some work. You got to run the length of the court. You be down
Right.
there battling people, posting up. But you know what? San Antonio has some really. I mean, Fox, Harper,
Yeah,
Castle.
they have a lot
Those
of talent.
cats, man, they
They
are
got a lot
really
of talent.
good at penetrating, driving. They are strong penetrators. And when they're jacking up they're sitting out there on the 3-point line, waiting for the ball to come to them to jack up a three. That's really not their game. They have to score on the inside first and then kick it out when that shot's taken away from them for the three. Not start with the three and try to open the inside up because it doesn't work that way. They're not built that way. And first of all, they're not that great of a 3-point shooting team to start with. Oklahoma's a much better 3-point shooting team, so don't fall into the shootout match with Oklahoma. Go to
No,
your strength, and when you 10 points down, that's the time that you really got to dig in and play to your strength and get 2 points at a time to get back in the game. Not be
right,
coming down court. Everybody shooting up three, even Wembley shooting up threes. Tom, he had 6 missed threes. Like wait a minute, you 7'4", the tallest man on the damn
the
court,
tallest man
unstoppable
on the
down
court.
low. And you why are you jacking up threes and everybody else is jacking up threes and none of y'all are hitting? They just
Exactly.
keep thinking that we just keep shooting them, eventually they'll fall in.
Yeah, no, it didn't make any sense to me. I did not understand the game plan yesterday, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I San Antonio is here. They're not coming. They are here. And so when you look at what's coming down the pipe in the West, it's after this year. I think it's San Antonio's game because I mean you thought Minnesota was on the come up. You thought that what is it, Denver was going to,
Denver, yeah,
that it ain't happening because when you look at the youth on these teams, both Oklahoma City, you got San Antonio. Houston is a young, talented team that doesn't have that much
right.
experience. And I think if Houston mess around and get some experience, the Rockets, if they mess around and get some playoff experience on their team through a couple of acquisitions, they're going to be extremely dangerous too.
Yeah, teams are getting younger, faster, and a little stronger. But you're right; they lack the experience. Um, Oklahoma has the right combination of young players and experienced players to balance it out. San Antonio is fairly young. I think they may be the youngest team in basketball. Um, but Castle got stopped with the turnovers. When you have five, six,
Yeah,
seven turnovers to guard, that's way too many. Uh, the whole team is turning the ball over way too much. So you got to cut down. I thought when Fox came back that took over the point guard role that would reduce but the other night, the other game when they won, Castle only had one turnover. But
yeah.
whenever he has
I think
five plus turnovers,
didn't they have like 10 turnovers at halftime? Some crazy number at halftime yesterday. Yeah, you
way too
can't do
many
that.
times, you can't turn the ball over against Oklahoma because they make you pay. So,
Exactly.
so you got to be careful with the ball. You got to drag it out, and you got to make it a grind match on the inside. Play to your strength. Find a way to post up Wembley. If you guys set down picks, down low for him, let him rotate to the other side, and then let him post up there and give him the ball, do that. But the offense needs to run through him, and you need to start with trying to get the ball inside first,
Not through De'Aaron Fox.
not through Fox, not through Castle. I know they want to be the man, but you have the man on your team, and it's up to the players and the coach to emphasize that, Tom. You should be
Well,
calling timeout and saying, hey, our offense needs to run through Wembley down low, not at the 3-point line. If Wembley out there jacking up threes and the rest of y'all jacking up, who's going to rebound? There's nobody down. I mean, I think Oklahoma out rebounded them because y'all didn't even have any contested rebound because everybody's on the 3-point line.
right. And I think again that is where they failed yesterday. And so I think that what you're saying that needs to be said is they're just getting out coached.
Yeah.
They're just getting out
And,
coached.
and 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 one of the greatest power forwards of all time, Tim Duncan,
Tim Duncan.
gotta be sitting there. I mean, he had 5 rings. Gotta be sitting on the sideline saying, "God damn,
What
what's
the
wrong with
hell?
y'all?" I mean, every now and then I may shoot a three, but my game was an inside game. I mean, he
Yeah,
was a power forward for a reason. It was an inside game. He wasn't out there jacking up threes. So somebody should have told Wembley, look, if you want to be the man, the MVP, you got to be able to carry a team. And you can't carry a team with 22 points. And most of that coming from the free throw line or
yeah,
19 points. Every time he had one of them low scoring games, they lose. When he had 30 plus, they
yeah.
win.
Agreed.
So if you can't find a way to give them the score time to help your team, then you don't deserve to be there. And while all this is happening, Tom, New York is sitting back, getting their manny
Getting ready.
panties, getting
Yep.
their massages, getting their legs well rested.
Yep.
Because whoever wins this
They'll be
series, if it
ready.
goes to 7, it's got to 2 days later play their first round against New York at that point.
It is.
Just coming off the damn victory if it goes to 7.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jimmy, and and they're gonna. New York is gonna be a little bit rusty on game one, but after that, yeah, they'll be ready.
I may have to rethink this time. New York may actually win this. I didn't think they had a chance
I was telling you the
against the
other day,
West.
Jimmy. I was telling you the other
I may have to rethink this, man. They get a lot of rest. They heal up
day.
their bodies. That goes a long way, Tom,
Yeah,
versus a team that's been battling and beaten up with injuries. I know Oklahoma been have to go to their bench, rely on a lot of bench players. So we'll see what happens, Tom. Yeah, I may have to rethink the finals.
but I would say this, Jimmy, if nothing else, where I give Oklahoma the advantage over San Antonio, even though San Antonio is an exceptional team with arguably a top three player in the league, is that Oklahoma City is very deep. They have a
Yeah,
lot of depth,
they got a lot of young players. Yeah, that
and they got
bench.
and they got some talent coming off of that bench who would probably be starting with some other teams. And so
Right.
that's where I believe Oklahoma City does have the advantage. Is quite frankly their depth.
That's true, Tom. So, but San Antonio, I mean, New York, does a much better job of playing inside out. And when they get behind, trust me, every shot is going to be them attacking the basket.
Right.
Bronson is driving the lane, taking it to the hoop. Townsend taking it to the hoop. Their whole game changes when they're behind, and they know how to crawl back in the game 2 points at a time. They're not getting desperate, just jacking up threes all over the place. When the inside shot is not there, then they kick out for the 3-pointer. But they don't
And the
start a
other
3-pointer.
And the other thing is Oklahoma City can beat you in a lot of different ways. We found that out last year. But Oklahoma City can beat you in a lot of different ways. They can beat you on the inside, they can beat you on the perimeter, they can beat you on defense. And I mean, what's quite scary about this, Chet Holmgren really hasn't had any standout
He
games.
hasn't.
He has not had any standout games yet.
What's the other? I mean, Holmgren is a power forward. What's the center's name? Another
I,
tall
I,
white guy.
he has some type of German name or something like that. I forgot his name.
Yeah, he got that little one hand push shot of his,
Right.
man. But
Exactly.
he been giving you about 12 points a game. Holcomb, yeah, the average is
Right.
down, his rebound is
Right.
down, but the two of them together, Tom, has been very effective in certain games against Wembley. On the
Yeah.
games that he goes off, where he's attacking the basket and they just alley oop and he's just dunking all over the place, those are the games they blow Oklahoma out.
Yeah, this is true. This is
So,
very true.
so what's your prediction for Game 6 at back in San Antonio?
I said it's going to go seven. So
Okay,
my ticket is going to go 7 games.
so you predicting San Antonio win?
Yes.
Okay, and if they do win and it goes 7, let me see. Tomorrow is what, Thursday?
Right.
The next game will be on Saturday back in Oklahoma. So who wins that game?
Hartenstein, that's his name.
Hardenson. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I say again. I say OKC in 7. That was my call. That was my call from the beginning. OKC in 7.
Okay, and by that time they'll I think by Monday then they'll play the first round of the championship. So they should be probably on game 2 by Wednesday. So by the time the next show comes around, we should know who's in the championship, and they should already have one game under their belt, and we can
Yeah.
give our predictions for
Right.
who wins the NBA
Right.
championship.
Now that only is now. I don't know Jalen Williams. I don't know how long he's out. That is for Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma City. But if he comes back, it might be 6. But yeah, if Jalen Williams still being out, I'm saying Oklahoma City in 7.
Well, he's out with a hamstring, Tom. That's been nagging him all season long. So I think they're trying to, while they don't need him now, try to rest him as much as possible to heal that thing up because they may need him against New York.
Yes, sir. They will. Yes, they will. New York
So,
City. New York City is on a mission. The
so
Knicks
they're
are
on
on
a
a mission.
mission. Knicks,
All right,
Knicks may
Jimmy.
be back.
It's almost
So,
9:20, so let's go
okay,
ahead
we
and
apologize for going late. So go ahead and close us out, Tom, and then I'll end the stream.
all right. I want to thank everybody who joined us for this evening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let's see if we've got anything else here. I want to thank. We got Brother Frederick V. Roberts who joined us a little bit late. Thank you for joining us late. And
Tell brother,
that's correct.
tell Fred brother he needs to come next week because we're gonna play another clip of Walking While Black in Tennessee, and would like to get like him to chime in because I know he's a lawyer, so get his opinion on the video. So tell brother, tell Fred brother come on back next week and be on time this time
Okay, now you know
if you
he's in
can.
Prairie View, right?
Yes, I know.
All right. Well, y'all have a good evening and a great weekend. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Of course, join us back for next Wednesday because, of course, if it is Wednesday night,
And certainly Black Men Speak.
good night, everyone, and thank you.